But let me ask you this, what are you doing between 4 and 5 a.m.? Sleeping. Dreaming? While the life you crave is already awake, success doesn't wait for alarms. It waits for the awakened. You want a different life? Then start by doing what 99% of people won't eat up before the world does. Because that hour, it's not just a time. It's a weapon. Between 4 and 5 a.m., something remarkable happens. The world quiets down in a way it never does at any other time of the day. No buzzing phones, no traffic, no interruptions. Just stillness. And in that stillness, you get access to something powerful, your unfiltered thoughts. When everything else is silent, your inner voice becomes loud. That voice, the one that gets drowned out by noise, pressure, opinions, and distractions all day long, that voice becomes your compass. It tells you what you truly want, who you really are, and where you need to go. It whispers dreams, goals, ideas, plans. Things that don't get the space to breathe when you wake up late and jump straight into the chaos. Most people live reactive lives. They wake up and immediately get pulled into the demands of the world. They check their phones, scroll through social media, respond to messages, and are already behind before their feet hit the floor. But waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. flips the entire script. Instead of reacting, you begin creating. You create your mood. You create your mindset. You create your mission for the day before the world has a chance to interfere. That kind of power, the ability to command your day instead of obeying it, is a life changer. It's the foundation of intentional living. And intentional living always beats accidental success. In those early hours, your brain functions differently. Science backs it up. Your willpower, focus, and creativity are highest right after waking, especially when you've had enough rest and wake with purpose. That means if you're writing a book, building a business, planning your future, or even just journaling to find clarity, that is the time to do it. Ideas just come, they flow. Your mind becomes a laboratory, a battlefield, a temple, whatever you need it to be. It's like the universe opens a private channel just for you. You don't need inspiration. You become inspiration. And once you've tasted that kind of mental clarity, sleeping in feels like betrayal. It's not just the mental space, it's emotional clarity too. In the early morning, your emotions are raw, honest, and untouched by the drama of the day. This is when you face yourself. No filters, no facades, just the real you. That confrontation with yourself day after day builds emotional intelligence. You begin to see patterns in your thoughts. You recognize what you're avoiding, what you're craving, and what you need to fix. That's growth. Not the kind people see, but the kind that lasts. When you know yourself at 4 a.m., you carry a different level of awareness throughout the rest of your day. You respond instead of react. You lead instead of follow. You rise instead of drift. Now think about what that means over time. Waking up early isn't just about getting ahead, it's about staying ahead. One morning gives you clarity. 10 mornings builds momentum. 100 mornings rewires your mind. This is where transformation begins, not in dramatic changes, but in consistent, quiet evolution. The kind of evolution that's invisible to the world until one day it's undeniable. Because eventually the internal shifts become external results. And by the time the world notices your growth, you'll be so far ahead, they'll have no idea how you did it, but you'll know you did it before the sun came up, while they were still dreaming you were becoming. And that's the beauty of those hours. They belong to no one but you. That ownership, that solitude becomes sacred. And in that sacred space, you start making decisions that are truly yours. Not inherited, not forced, not manipulated by trends or timelines. Waking up early gives you control, and control gives you freedom. freedom to think, to build, to become. It teaches you that success isn't about rushing, it's about rising with purpose. And there's no better time to rise than when the world is still sleeping. Because that's when your future finally has the room to speak. And you finally have the clarity to listen. Waking up early is not just a time management trick, it's a mindset shift. It's a way of telling yourself and the universe, I am in control. Every time that alarm rings before dawn and you choose to rise, you're choosing power over passivity. That choice becomes a message to your subconscious, my goals matter more than my comfort. And over time, that message becomes your identity. You're no longer the person who waits for the right moment. You become the person who creates it. That's what discipline is doing, what needs to be done, long after the feeling to do it has passed. And waking up early is the first battle you win each day. It sets the tone. It lays the foundation. And without a solid foundation, you can't build anything that lasts. Most people think discipline is restrictive. They think it's about depriving yourself. But that's not the truth. Discipline doesn't take your freedom, it gives the freedom to say no to distractions. The freedom to stay consistent when motivation fades. The freedom to show up for yourself even when no one else claps. When you wake up before the world does, you're not missing sleep, you're gaining control. You're building a habit of self-respect. You're saying, I value my time, I value my energy, and I value my future. And the more often you make that choice, the stronger your discipline becomes. It moves from effort to instinct, from something you have to push to something that pulls you forward. And once discipline becomes instinct, you no longer fight with yourself every morning. You stop negotiating with excuses. The alarm rings and you move. Not because it's easy, but because it's you. That's identity level transformation. The person you were is no longer the person you are. You're not just someone who wants success, you're someone who acts like it. You train like it. You plan like it. You live like it. The world begins to feel different not because it changed, but because you did. That's what internal discipline does. It doesn't just improve your mornings. It elevates your entire existence. And you carry that energy into everything, your work, your relationships, your health, your leadership. There's something fierce about someone who shows up early, who pushes through resistance when no one's watching, who grinds in silence without applause. That kind of person becomes unstoppable. Because they've trained in the dark. They've done the hard work when it was inconvenient. And that creates a mental toughness that can't be faked. Waking up early becomes your secret training ground. It's where you sharpen your edge when everyone else is still soft. You develop grit. Not the Instagram version of grit, the real kind. The kind that doesn't post. The kind that shows up. The kind that doesn't quit when things get hard. That's discipline, and discipline is what turns average people into legends. It also eliminates excuses. You stop blaming the clock. You stop blaming your schedule. You stop saying, I didn't have time, because you made time. You created it when most people were still dreaming. That's what separates winners from everyone else, the ability to prioritize what matters before the world demands your attention. When you start your day in discipline, the rest of the day bends to your will. You take control of your calendar. You don't chase productivity, you lead it. Your habits shift. Your focus sharpens. You start finishing things most people haven't even started. That kind of progress. It compounds. Quietly. Powerfully. Consistently. And here's the truth, discipline doesn't show up once and change your life. It shows up daily. In the small decisions. Like getting out of bed when everything in you wants to hit snooze. Like choosing structure over chaos. Like saying yes to growth when comfort whispers stay. Every time you make that choice, you're not just building a habit, you're building character. And character is what carries you through the storms. When motivation dies, discipline stands. When the journey gets hard, discipline leads. It becomes your anchor and your engine. And it all starts with one decision: to rise early and lead your day with intention. Most people wait for motivation like it's something they need to find. Like it's hiding somewhere in a book, a video, or a podcast. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It's fleeting. It's emotional. It's there one day and gone the next. If you depend on motivation to move, you'll only act when it's convenient, and success doesn't live in convenience. Energy, real energy, is not something you wait for. It's something you generate. And waking up between 4 and 5 a.m. is one of the most powerful ways to create that energy. It demands effort, and in that effort, you ignite momentum. You train your body to rise before it feels ready, and in doing so, you train your mind to lead instead of follow. That's the beginning of power. When your alarm goes off at that early hour, your first instinct might be to stay in bed, to tell yourself 5 more minutes, to wait until you feel ready. But nothing extraordinary ever comes from waiting to feel ready. Champions, creators, leaders, they act through resistance. They move before it's comfortable. That early morning resistance is not your enemy, it's your training partner. It's testing your will. It's sharpening your discipline. And when you push through it, even if it's just standing up, making your bed, stepping outside, or getting your blood flowing, you feel something shift. Your body starts catching up to your mind, the fog begins to lift. That simple action becomes fuel, and suddenly you're not tired, you're alive. Awake. Activated. Your physiology follows your psychology. When you wake up early and start your day with intentional movement, whether it's a workout, stretching, a walk, or deep breathing, you're sending a signal to every part of your being. We're in motion. Your blood starts to circulate. Your lungs expand. Your heart rate increases. Your mind sharpens. Energy isn't magic, it's biology. But the trick is, you have to start to feel it. Most people never reach that state because they never move long enough to activate it. They hit snooze and then complain about being tired all day. But those who rise early, who take command of their body and mind in those quiet hours, they generate their own fuel. That's the difference between being average and being in light. There's a myth that says creativity happens randomly, that inspiration strikes like lightning. But the truth is, creativity flows most powerfully when you build a rhythm. And there's no better time to build that rhythm than in the early morning. Your mind is fresh. It hasn't been hijacked by distractions. Your thoughts are uncluttered, your imagination is free. This is the hour where ideas come to life, not because you're waiting for them, but because you're prepared to receive them. When you sit in stillness, when you create space, when you begin moving and thinking and aligning your body and brain, that's when creativity arrives. Not randomly, but as a result of your effort. You don't chase it. You earn it. Momentum